Hello, good morning. Welcome to Gaming Insight Daily for Monday, July 14th, 2025. I'm Steve Saylor. This is your sometimes daily show of gaming news, accessibility news, or updates about my life. I have coffee in my tea Earl Grey hot Star Trek mug today. And I apologize for not posting any videos last week. It was on purpose, but I could, and also was on purpose that I couldn't tell you. It was mostly because I was working on a consulting gig last week that, because of NDA, I just didn't want to hint at what I was doing or where I was going if I was going anywhere. So it would just made it a lot easier to be able to just not say anything and just do the gig and then come back this week to be able to start up the show again in its daily format. I will say that housekeeping, I will be at TennoCon this week. Or this weekend, essentially. If you don't know TennoCon, that is the convention for the game Warframe, put on by Digital Extremes. This is actually their 10th anniversary of TennoCon. This is their 10th anniversary of putting on this convention, and they invited me out to come and check it out. So I will actually have some content about that or from that as the week kind of continues. So I'm going to try to be able to at least maybe do a bit of like vlogging or something on those lines. Maybe I'll do episodes of Gaming Insight Daily talking about the news if anything comes up from my hotel room. But I just wanted to let you know that I will be attempting to be able to at least be able to create content while I'm there and also continue this show. So even though I'm going to be traveling, I wanted to at least let you all know that that is happening. And so forgive the maybe the potential of shifting in scheduling for this week, but there will be more episodes happening this week. So that's the housekeeping. All right, now let's jump into the news, because there's this one story that happened last week that I didn't get a chance to talk about, but it's getting messier by the day. And I did have another story I was going to do that was literally published like yesterday from a friend of the show. In regards to kind of the statement of the state of the industry, but I didn't want to like start up this week on a down note. I mean, this story does start on a down note, but it's just more like it's just like I don't know, like it sort of symbolizes a little bit of kind of how the industry is. So it was either weird and wacky, sort of like I can't believe this is happening kind of news, or depressing. Like I don't know about what the state of the industry is going to be like kind of news. So we're just gonna jump in and see what happens. Anyway, this story is coming from VGC, written by Andy Robinson. Subnautica 2 saga turns messy. Former devs sue Krafton as publisher accuses them of betrayal. That's a loaded headline if I ever saw one. If you had no idea what was going on, I would be like, what the heck is happening? So we'll just read and kind of give some greater context to things as we go. Subnautica's 2 development changes have taken another dramatic twist as former developers claim they are launching legal action against publisher Krafton, which has now accused them of abandoning the project. Last week, Krafton shared the surprising news that Unknown World's leadership had left the company, including CEO Ted Gill, co-founder and creative director Charlie Cleveland, and co-founder and technical director Max McGuire. Just to let you know, Unknown Worlds is the studio. Unknown World is the studio that creates and is creating Subnautica created Subnautica and is currently working on Subnautica 2. They're owned by Krafton, and if you don't know Krafton, they are the publisher behind PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, so PUBG, and also they were the ones who picked up. So they also had Callisto Protocol as one of their games, and they also picked up recently the studio Tango Gameworks. And if you don't know, if you know Tango Gameworks, they're the ones who made Hi-Fi Rush. So if that sounds familiar, it's because Tango Gameworks initially was owned by Microsoft. Microsoft closed the studio. Krafton then picked up the studio, bought it, and basically hired everybody back. So for a period of time, Krafton was the good guy in this situation. This time, maybe not so much. Well, let's continue. No reason was given for the departure, nor statements from the departing leadership, but Krafton claimed that the Unknown Worlds trio had left despite its efforts to keep them involved in the game's development. Steve Papachousis, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, previously CEO of Striking Distance, would take over as Unknown Worlds CEO, it said. Now, if you don't know, it was Striking Distance. If I remember correctly, Striking Distance, yeah, so this is the one that I believe, yes. So yeah, it was Callisto Protocol was that game that Striking Distance. So basically, the CEO of Striking Distance of Callisto Protocol has now taken over Unknown Worlds for Subnautica to continue on working on Subnautica 2, basically after the leadership was let go. It was later confirmed that Krafton was delaying the release of Subnautica 2, which is the second most wished for upcoming game on Steam, to 2026. A Bloomberg report alleged that Krafton, excuse me, I have to cough for a second. All right. Sorry about that. A Bloomberg report alleged that Krafton had made the decision months before it was due to pay a $250 million bonus to the development team, which leadership had planned to share with the studio's employees of around 100. The sequel's delay was against the wishes of the studio's former leadership, it's claimed, and by delaying the game into next year, the company is now, quote-unquote, unlikely to hit the targets which would trigger the payout. Responding to the Bloomberg's reporting, Krafton issued another statement on Thursday claiming that the delay was not influenced by any contractual or financial considerations, but instead to improve the game, contradicting a social media post by Subnautica 2's former director, claiming that it was, quote-unquote, ready for early access release. Furthermore, Krafton's new statement accused the former leadership team of abandoning their responsibilities in order to work on other projects, including a film, which it said led to delays for the game, and claimed that 90% of this $250 million payout was allocated to the 3 execs. Krafton believes that the absence of core leadership has resulted in repeated confusion in direction and significant delays in the overall project schedule, it said. The current early access version also falls short in terms of the current early access version also falls short in terms of content volume. We are deeply disappointed by the former leadership's conduct, and above all, we feel a profound sense of betrayal by their failure to honor the trust placed in them by our fans. On Friday, the drama deepened as former creative director Cleveland claimed the former Unknown Worlds leadership had filed a lawsuit against Krafton. Quote, suing a multi-billion-dollar company in a painful, public, and possibly protracted way was certainly not on my bucket list, end quote, he wrote. But this needs to be made right. Subnautica has been my life's work, and I would never unwillingly abandon it or the amazing team that has poured their hearts into it. In one final twist, a selection of confidential slides showing Subnautica 2's development progress leaked online, suggesting that its content that had been downsized due to missed deadlines. In an unprecedented move, Krafton published a press release soon after the leak, confirming the documents are indeed real. Given these circumstances, Krafton has determined that transparent communication is necessary and has chosen to confirm the authenticity of the document, it said. Krafton believes that minimizing speculation and ensuring accurate communication with players must take precedence. According to Bloomberg's journalist Jason Schreier, the former employee's lawsuit against Krafton is for breach of contract. This whole thing is just messy in of itself, because the question then becomes, what happened? Who is it, who is right and who is wrong? And I don't want to sort of put it into like a black and white sort of situation in this, because the whole thing of the show is trying to provide the greater context of things that are happening. And because it's sort of like a he said, they said kind of situation, there is a lot of information, like potential misinformation that is given on either, could be on either side. So let's break this down as far as like what this could mean. So initially, when the story broke was because of Bloomberg, and was partially because of Bloomberg, and the part of that was the $250 million payout or bonus to Unknown Worlds. And it was reported allegedly that the studio was going to split a lot of that money across all of 100's employees, in some cases giving 6 to potentially 7-figure bonuses to the employees who worked on it, which it sounds as if that's a good thing. But if Krafton is saying that no, 90% of that was allocated to the leadership, that's, I mean, if you kind of break that down, let me see. Okay, so let's do the math. So $250 million divided, or no, not divided by. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up a calculator in this situation. Times 0.1. That's $25 million. If that is the case, if leadership is supposed to take the 90%, that is a lot. That basically you're looking at $225 million going to leadership across what, 4 people, I think, if that's the case. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So three folks. If split across that's a lot of money. Now, granted, if you kind of divide the $25 million by 100, just try to do it equally, you're looking at $250,000 per employee, which is a lot. Like as a bonus, mind you, that's a lot in the way the industry is currently right now. But it obviously, like the developers on that team probably didn't. There's some that did more work than others. Not to say that one was better than the other. It's just that we don't know what the hiring practices were, how long a person had been on the project, whether it was from the beginning or kind of brought on near the end. I would imagine that seniority kind of comes into play and tenure potentially. But the thing is that we don't know 100% where that money was supposed to go. If Krafton is saying 90% of that was supposed to go to leadership, and former leadership is saying no, like that's not the case. Again, it's kind of coming into a he said she said he said they said situation. But if you think about it as well, so again, we don't know we don't know what the money was supposed to go to unless other developers on the team are coming on saying, yeah, no, I was supposed to receive X amount of dollars, or we were supposed to receive that, blah blah blah. If that's that's the case, then I think that would kind of put into the former CEO or the former leadership's sort of on their side. But when it comes to Krafton, these leaked sort of slide deck, basically kind of showing the progress of Subnautica 2, suggesting that its content had been downsized due to missed deadlines, and then Krafton basically coming out almost immediately saying, yes, these leaks are true. It basically, you have two things happening here. Either A, yes, it was an actual leak, and then Krafton was to save face or to try to be able to bolster themselves up, because basically this report definitely did not look good in Krafton's favor. Then they're like, okay, yeah, transparency. Yes, this is real. This is what we've been telling people. This game was not ready. There is a reason why we had to delay it, which would put it into Krafton's better. Okay, maybe Krafton is in the right. However, the convenience of this is also in a little suspect. I'm definitely not saying that this is the case. Don't twist my words. Don't think that I'm basically that I'm looking at all sides of the situation right now. I'm not even saying there's good people on all sides. I'm not even comparing it to that situation, because right now I don't know where I would lean as far as whether it's the leadership or Krafton. I'm leaning towards the leadership of the team. If they were let go and then they're suing Krafton for this, I would almost kind of put it into developers. In a way, with the way the industry is, I trust developers more than I trust leadership. Because here's the thing: if all of leadership at Unknown Worlds was bad, we would have heard. I think we would have heard about that. We would have definitely heard about that by now, and it would have been a very rare circumstance where, if leadership was that bad that they got let go, or that their their actions had consequences, because we've seen a lot of CEOs or execs at studios not definitely not taking the heat for what happened, and obviously, yes, suing them could potentially also be part of that strategy. Hey, you know what, we were why did you do, they're not accepting the consequence of their actions. I don't know, but I will say that, going back to these slides, it does seem a little convenient that it leaks and then Krafton immediately is saying, yeah, no, this is true. Almost to the point where I wonder, did they leak it themselves? That does raise some that question. I'll go in the full screen for this one. So it puts that into some but you have to kind of look at the greater context of this whole thing. So the former leadership is suing Krafton because of what's happening. The coincidental circumstances of them firing the leadership and also not even just that, but delaying the game so potentially that they don't have to pay out the $250 million bonus, because if they delay it, then that kind of basically puts that bonus contract terms under basically it null and voids that contract. That also kind of seems very shady. It does. If you kind of look at the way the industry is right now, that would be shady practices. But again, it's like we don't know what's true and what's not. Right now, it's kind of hard to decide not necessarily on what side you want to be on, but in essence, like I said, I kind of want to be on the developer side. I want all this is doing what it's doing ultimately at the worst is that it's delaying this game for players. There have been players that have been wanting a sequel to Subnautica for a long time, and it looked as if we were potentially going to get that this year, to the point where it's being delayed into 2026. The people who are suffering the most essentially are the fans, are the players themselves, because we're not getting the game that we were hoping for, and now it's kind of boiled up into this just giant soup of a mess in this situation. And I guess the worst of we're forgetting the human factor of this whole thing. It's the developers who are left and stay behind. And having to work with a new CEO who basically had to take over essentially of 3 jobs into one. And you know how difficult that is, especially when, say, if you're working on a team and 2 people got let go, so and there's not backfilling of that, so now 2 other people are having to, so you're now having to be able to do the job of 2 other people, so that now your job is tripled in scope. Same thing probably with the CEO as well. Now, I'm not saying that the CEO is oh, woe is me kind of situation, but here's the thing. The CEO also does not necessarily have the greatest track record, especially with Callisto Protocol. I think that the game did not sell well, and I think that it did not do as well. So to be able to have someone else come in and basically kind of take over, they probably not again. It's good, and not to even say that he's going to do a bad job. The thing is that this team has developed a rapport, has developed a shorthand. Has developed a sense of where the game is going, and that is hard to be able to train up over time. And in order to be able to kind of to keep his job, the CEO is going to have to sort of have some influence in the game itself, and what's going to happen. So that's another thing that's going to come into play. How is Subnautica 2 going to suffer because of now the CEO who has no idea about anything about the project, is jumping in on literally almost the last leg of the development cycle, and is he going to basically let the devs do what they do best and basically just make the game and have sort of a hands-off approach and just approve things as they need to, or is he going to get sort of roll up his sleeves and sort of get his hands into it and basically try to mold it and make it his own in essence? I'm hoping for the former, but it could also potentially be the latter. And again, it's the Krafton. I would love to be able to say that Krafton was in the right here, and that they were getting out bad leadership, and they wanted, and they felt that I think the thing would save face with Krafton right now is if they still honored that commitment to for the bonuses for the devs, because that right now is the crux of this situation. Is that yes, the Subnautica 2 gets delayed. Games get delayed all the time. And again, even though the players are the ones that are suffering, patience is also a virtue in a lot of situations, especially with games that we're looking forward to. That yes, it's disappointing that we can't play it sooner, but if it does help the game better by delaying it, then we're all for it. We've seen what happens with Cyberpunk 2077 when the game should have been delayed further. Now, granted, it had one of the best sort of comeback stories of the entire industry, but it is definitely like something you have to kind of think about when you're delaying a game. But if Krafton comes back and says, hey, we're going to still give the bonuses to the devs anyway, then I think that basically, like, it's either, then you have to sort of then the ball goes into the former like leadership's court. If they still continue with the suit, that kind of goes to show, okay, they were in it for the money for themselves. And then necessarily, like, it could be some other reasons too, but it kind of would not look good on them to continue the lawsuit going forward. Like, so that's where I'm hoping that's what Krafton would have to do. Like, Krafton would have to basically in order to be able to save face, in order to be able to make it right, I think that they would have to honor the $250 million agreement, even though it's delayed. I think it'd be shady practice to basically, like, they're the ones who delayed it, and yet they were all, like, if they were on track to be able to release, because getting that much of a bonus from a publisher, that is unheard of, like, in this day and age. Like, like, this is a very unprecedented bonus contract that basically it would be extremely shady of them to be able to not honor it. But if they don't honor it, and like, when you go to the former leadership sort of side of things, they would need to show and prove that no, it was Krafton that was basically meddling in this the whole time. They're in this to be able to get to steal the money from the employees, that they were able to prove that essentially that them delaying it was to get out of the $250 million bonus. That, like, that's what they have to prove, and show that no, the game was on track, and prove that as well. So again, it's a messy situation. I don't think we know who's in the right and who's in the wrong. I think that's a question that I would love to be able to hear from you. What do you think? Not to sort of like accuse one or the other, but I was just like kind of curious what your thoughts are on this situation. I personally, my opinion is, I don't know who to believe in this situation. Again, I think if Krafton would still honor that $250 million bonus, or at least revise the contract so that there is still an opportunity for them to be able to get it beyond just this current delay, I think that would look better on Krafton than leadership. But if the leadership is the one that's in the right and Krafton is the one that's in the wrong, I want basically the leadership to be able to fight for its studio, fight for its former developers, because again, developers are kind of left in the middle. They still have to make the game, but now with potentially no direction, or at least very little direction, because they don't, like, they're near the finish line. This is when basically the studio is in its, not necessarily its crunch, but it's in like the last bit of development. It's like things have already locked in. They need to basically like to make sure that the game is still workable. The game is still they're eliminating bugs. They're locking down content. They're basically in the final stretch. And to have leadership go like this at this crucial stage in the development, it could push the game even further into further delayed, because there's just not, like, there's people trying to figure out, okay, what the heck to do, and if the CEO doesn't really know what's going on, or if they're trying to be able to change things, it just could delay the game even longer. So it's the developers that are left behind that are kind of in sort of the stuck between in a rock and a hard place for this situation. But I would love to be able to hear your thoughts. Again, this is kind of very messy situation. I don't know what my thoughts are on it, and I would love to be able to let you hear yours. So let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching. That's going to be it for today. Kind of a little bit short-ish episode today, but I want to be able to kind of try to get back into the swing of things. So thanks for letting me sort of do that, and I hope to be able to continue to keep doing this, obviously, throughout the whole rest of the week. So thanks so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and following if you haven't already, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.